Boy Erased is a drama film that tells the story of Jared, the son of fundamentalist Baptist parents, more specifically his father, who is a Baptist preacher in a small American town in Arkansas, who turns to his church for advice after Jared is forcibly outed as being gay at age 19, and ultimately makes the harsh decision to give his son an ultimatum: either take part in a church-supported gay conversion therapy program that promises to cure people of homosexuality, or be permanently exiled and shunned by his family and faith. This film is based on real-life events that happened in 2004. More specifically, it's based on the memoir written by the real-life Jared, who recounts his childhood experiences growing up in a fundamentalist Baptist family and his eventual enrollment in conversion therapy. I think this is very important to take note of because the film is kind of structured in a way that sort of resembles a memoir, sort of resembles a diary, a collection of memories written by events that took place in the subject's life that are understood to be factual. The film starts with Jared beginning his very first day at conversion therapy, and while the bulk of the film favors this present narrative of Jared experiencing the program, it also, in its first act, cuts back to flashbacks. And while I'm not the biggest fan of flashbacks, I actually think here they have a purpose, because from the very get-go we get to witness and we get to understand just the insanity of this program. We get to see employees take away attendees' cell phones and their diaries and ripping pages out of their diaries and crazy shit like that, and basically enforcing them to not talk about anything that goes on within the program to anyone outside of it, not even their parents. So witnessing all of this, and then afterwards getting to see just how and why Jared got to be here in the first place, basically being forcibly outed by a fellow student of his who wronged him, just makes the whole situation all the more infuriating and heartbreaking to the viewer. These flashbacks actually help to flesh out the characters and to create a lot of sympathy towards both Jared and his parents, seeing him struggling with his identity as a teenager, and seeing his parents, more specifically his dad, not having any animosity towards his son at all, but having this Baptist background and this sort of fundamentalist belief system that's incredibly strict and unforgiving. We get these two parties who are incredibly clueless about how to handle this whole situation. And the interesting thing is that Jared actually seems pretty certain about the program in the beginning of the film. He seems pretty laid back and not apprehensive about it at all, but things will eventually start to get out of control, and their treatment within the program will start becoming more and more abusive. Jared's parents will obviously not understand his frustration, but they are not the ones experiencing what he is, and what he is experiencing is the frequent intimidation, manipulation, humiliation, and the ill treatment of a very complex and very fascinating individual who in real life is named John Smith, who is actually a gay man who came out of the closet and then went right back into it in probably the most horrifying way you can ever imagine. Basically becoming the leader of this conversion therapy program and considering it to be his mission to eradicate homosexuality at any cost. Now, the real-life John Smith claims that he doesn't like the film nor the book it is based on because he doesn't like to be portrayed as a villain. It makes him feel uncomfortable, but he also claims that there's a lot of truth to many of the events portrayed here. He did indeed run a program in which, by imposing his own cluelessness and ignorance and lunacy on others, basically pushed a lot of other people and traumatized them to the point of trying to commit suicide. Jared also gets to meet other attendees within the program who are similar to him, are also there to get straight. More specifically, one of them played by filmmaker and actor Xavier Dolan, and another one played by YouTuber and singer-songwriter Troye Sivan, two guys who are in real life as well, very popular and very outspoken gay men. Xavier's character is actually so fanatically devoted to this therapy to the point where he even refuses to shake hands with other men, while Troy's character is just on the complete opposite, and he is basically faking it. He is just pretending that therapy is working for him just so he can get released and return to a normal life. And that's basically all that we get to find out about these characters. Nothing more, nothing less. Nothing about their backstories or where they come from or how did they get here, or nothing about what happens to them later on in life. And that can be a little bit frustrating to other people, seeing that these characters are basically more like archetypes, characterized by a single trait rather than well-fleshed out characters. But I think for me personally it works for this sort of memoir/diary aspect to the film, because this is Jared's story. It's his experience, and it's what he saw and what he experienced. Nothing more, nothing less. While the bulk of the film is indeed the time Jared spends in conversion therapy and the abuses he witnesses there, a huge chunk of the movie, basically its whole entire third act, takes place after he gets out of there, after he immediately gets out, and then 4 years later, when he writes an article for Times Magazine exposing the realities of conversion therapy, the very article that will eventually turn into the book book this very film is based on. And we get to see that this is an incredibly important step for all members of the family. The mother, who all throughout the film seemed to be pretty torn between her husband and her son. We get to see her finally make a stand and complete her character arc. And also the very final scene of the film, which is by far one of the best and most moving scenes in the entire movie, when Jared actually confronts his father about him being more focused on how his son's sexual identity affected him and his status rather than his son's. And we actually get to see that, man, this guy actually is a pretty good father, or at least he could have been a pretty good father if it just wasn't for his incredibly flawed worldview and his ignorance and stubbornness and dogma. And I think that's the most important lesson to take away from this movie. It really doesn't try to vilify anyone, not even, I think, the main conversion therapy leader guy, who is indeed an incredibly baffling individual who does a lot of harm. But at the end of the day, I think you kind of understand that everything anyone does in this movie is sort of motivated by some sort of sense and desire to help others. Basically, what we see is a lot of people, a lot of ignorant and clueless and fearful people reacting to the same situation and wanting to help and wanting to fix things in all sorts of stupid and harmful ways. So that was my 2 cents on this film, folks. I really liked it and I would highly recommend it. My question to you guys would be, what are some of your favorite films about emotional abuse or emotional manipulation? Really curious to know about your answers. Don't forget to leave them down below in the comment section. Thanks for watching my review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can see me later in other reviews. And what can I say, folks? Until I'll see you again, don't forget to stay cool, stay awesome, stay healthy, and all that good stuff, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye!